Hello everyone, welcome to Mr. Hancock's English course. This video is about the C method, and while I'm going to be condensing this, I want you to know that this is something that's going to be very important and it's very helpful. And I use this on many different levels of writing and many different types of writing and genres, specifically within argument, mainly within argument, but it doesn't matter if it's writing about poetry, short fiction, drama, and other rhetorical-based arguments. It doesn't really matter. You can use this. And you start very specific. You start very focused and tailored as to what I'm going to talk about. And then the further you go, you'll be able to tailor it more to yourself, your own style, and move it. But I promise you, when you look at argumentative writing, you will see these three parts in some way within that writing. So with that being said, let's do it. This was based in the analytical essay writing handout. You can refer to this and read this there. I also have it in the C method example body paragraph handout in Unit 1. But you can also get it in the Comp 1 theme handout. And that's brand new up there. And I'm going to refer to this. So I want you to look at that first. It's the What is a Theme handout. It says Comp 1 in the file name, but it's for Comp 2. I'm going to go to the very bottom of the page here because I want you to think about this in terms of what you're going to do with evidence when you're focusing on getting that hypothesis ready, that question, the answer to that question. What is this story about? What is this story teaching us about blank, whatever that topic is? At the top, it tells you, as we'll talk more about theme in a little bit, you'll focus that question until where you get to an answer, a very specific answer. And I want to go through the C method now, because not only will that help you with your organization of your or outline and your body paragraphs, but also helps you think about evidence as you read the story, as you look to answer those questions. And what we have here is the C method. The C method on the second page of the theme handout is what I'm looking at right now. The C method is a three-part body paragraph structure that you'll follow specifically right now that will help you argue for your point. It will provide your reader with evidence from the text, and you will explain how that evidence proves your thesis. So the number one thing you need is you need a thesis or a hypothesis, the answer to that question, as we said. And it's as if in your body, or before you get to your body, after you present your thesis, your reader says, prove it. Show me where you got that idea. And that's exactly what your body paragraph is going to do. It's going to set out the evidence and explanation as to what led you to that particular thesis. So with that being said, looking here are the three parts: the statement, example, and explanation. The statement is the topic sentence of the paragraph. Every paragraph has a topic sentence. You do not want to start a body paragraph with a quote or anything like that. You always want to start with a topic sentence, letting the reader know what this body paragraph is going to be about, introduce that piece of evidence you're about to get to. The second part is the example. That is your actual evidence from the text. Now, I'll go into later on about summary compared to quoting and paraphrasing and so on. But one thing I will say right now is it has to be brief. Treat it like a reminder to the reader. Hey, do you remember this one part in the story where this happens? Your reader will say, yes, I remember that. You're done. Now let's move on to the next part. The point I'm trying to make is do not go into deep story summary or plot summary or anything like that right now. We already know the story. Remind us of the piece of evidence you're about to discuss, and then move on to the next part, which is the most important part, the explanation. But before we get there, I want to put it like a question, because that's the way you really have to do this. Between the example and the explanation portion, you have to imagine your reader says, okay, I remember that part of the story. I know this piece of evidence, but what does that have to do? How does that have anything to do with your thesis? How does that prove your thesis? Answer that question. Okay, I want to give that question to you again. How does this prove your thesis? I'll say it again. How does this prove your thesis? I give you that question because in order to get the explanation portion of the C method correct in your body, is you have to try to answer that question. Answer it directly. How does this prove your thesis? Okay, that's what you want to shoot for. That is the organization of the C method. And if you look, and I'm going to refer really quick, and of course if I go too fast, pause it. But going back to the analytical essay writing handout, to the A&P example of the example body paragraph outline. Now the outline just has the introduction, has a thesis. There's your thesis. You have to have a thesis before you have anything else. Even if you're testing a hypothesis, you have to have that before anything else. When people give me essays that don't have thesis statements and they have no idea what a thesis statement is, but they have body paragraphs, they've done it wrong, because there's no way you can build your body in an argument without the thesis. Anyway, looking back here, inside the body paragraphs, you'll notice each part of the C method is accounted for. But think about that question between the example and explanation. In the first one, it says, gives an example, shoppers in a line at the checkout. That's just a reference in the outline. But remember, the reader's going to ask, how does this prove your thesis? And it says, this illustrates how he is judgmental and wrong, thus proving the thesis. See? That's what we want to do. Now, that's how it can work in an outline. We'll talk more about outlines later. But really quick, before I stop, I want to bring you over to the actual C method example body paragraph handout. This is the one where you have a thesis at the top about the Big Bang Theory and then the color coding. This is for you to see visually how the C method has moved into a body paragraph, into actual paragraph form. Small topic sentence, small, really brief example in the middle, and then the bulk of the paragraph is actually your explanation as to how. Remember, answer that question. How does this example prove the thesis? Read it and think of it in those terms, okay? In this handout, I give you 2 body paragraphs tied to that thesis. I also go ahead and give you an introduction and conclusion at the very end. We'll talk about why I put them together later. But there's some good examples for your C method, and if you have any questions, please let me know.